Meanwhile, as the battle to defeat COVID-19 continues, some parents are facing an even scarier fight. It's called MIS-C. It's a multi-system inflammatory syndrome in children.
The cause is unknown, but most children with it had COVID-19 or were exposed to someone with the virus. The CDC says the majority of children recover, but in some cases, MIS-C has been deadly. At UK Children's Hospital, there have only been 3 cases of the syndrome.
Claire Copsby spoke to a Flemingsburg mother whose 6-year-old son is one of those cases, and he's been fighting MIS-C from the pediatric ICU for weeks.
For the James family, their experience with the coronavirus was mild, but that was before Thanksgiving.
There was no positive cases in our house. We were exposed at work, where I work at. There were some exposures, and we all went and tested the middle of November. We all came back negative. The doctors do believe we just tested a little too soon after exposure for it to come up, and that he remained asymptomatic at that point.
But a few weeks later, their 6-year-old son Walter became sick with a GI issue. His mom says she thought it was the stomach bug. Then several weeks later, Walter wasn't himself.
And then on Christmas Eve, that's when everything just kind of changed, because he started feeling really sick. He wasn't really excited about Santa and Christmas, and that wasn't like him. And then Christmas morning, he wasn't excited to open his gifts. He just kind of picked at them, and I could tell something was wrong.
The next morning, he woke up with 104 fever, started having seizures, was admitted to their local hospital, and eventually rushed to UK hospital. After an EKG and clear lab tests, he was diagnosed with epilepsy and sent home. The following morning, though, he passed out, and another trip to the hospital and a round of blood work showed inflammation that sent him to the pediatric ICU unit at UK Children's Hospital.
When you would touch him, when it first started, he would just scream in pain because he said he hurt all over, and he just wasn't able to explain what was hurting and what was going on.
Their time in the pediatric ICU was full of tests, eventually leading to a MIS-C diagnosis. Every day feeling like a roller coaster with fevers, feeding tubes, and oxygen.
He would go from one extreme to another extreme, and it's just like his heart rate would drop, his blood pressure would drop, his respiratory rate would drop, everything would just drop, his oxygen, and then it would go super high. So it was just trying to find that happy medium and get the right medicines in him. It's scary. It's been the scariest 2 weeks of my life.
After those weeks of stress, Walter's taking a positive turn as he was moved out of the ICU and ate for the first time yesterday since Christmas Eve.
He's doing a lot better with the steroids and everything, and we have moved to the regular floor, but of course, it could change at any time, because there's so many unknowns. I mean, he could have several good days and we could go back into it. There's just really no explanation of it.
No explanation, and that's why she wants other parents to be aware.
Take COVID seriously. COVID is real. It's out there. Take it seriously. I was kind of skeptical at times because, I mean, it's new and it's real until you're exposed to it and you know, hey, it is real. I mean, just take the precautions because it's real. It's there. And this could happen to your child, and I don't want this to happen to anybody's child because this is awful, horrible, and it needs, the information needs to be put out there.
A mother's advice for a syndrome doctors just don't yet know much about. In Lexington, Claire Kopsky, LEX 18 News.